A man comes to Jesus for help. What kind of help? Well, it's a pretty heavy matter, actually. The man's son is demon-possessed. You want some outside help for that too, right? Yeah. No one had been able to help this boy, including Jesus' own disciples. They tried to help. They couldn't do it. There's more details to the story. If you want to read it, it is in Mark chapter 9. I'm talking about it because I was thinking about the story from this perspective. And now it involves an impressive display of Jesus' power and his authority. Yes, of course, yes. But this story also reveals Jesus' kindness and his graciousness. Let me explain that. Again, there's other details, but what happens is this man comes to Jesus and he's asking for help. Now keep that in mind. That's kind of important here. He seeks out Jesus. The Father is the one who recognizes Jesus as someone special. He initiates the contact with Jesus. But then, as the Father is describing these problems that the boy deals with, he says to Jesus, have mercy on us and help us if you can. Help us if you can. Jesus seizes on that and he responds. This is Mark 9, chapter 23. He says to the Father, well, what do you mean if I can? It doesn't tell us whether or not the Father got maybe a little bit embarrassed at that point. I could imagine such a thing happening. Whoa, excuse me. I could also imagine at that point, I could imagine Jesus saying, hey, you came to me. You're asking for my help. You're looking to me for really something remarkable, for a manifestation of great power. That's what you're asking for. And now all of a sudden, it kind of seems like you're waffling here. What's this if stuff? But thankfully, Jesus is so good and kind. He doesn't say that. Jesus says these words to this father. Words of great hope and encouragement. He says words that open up the possibility of something incredible. These are Jesus' words. Now, he said it, not me. He says it, so he says, anything is possible if a person believes. That's Mark 9:23. And that's when the father of the boy, he says something so interesting, but it's just gut level honest. It's like this very genuine and truthful expression from this man. He says to Jesus at that point, I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief. That's a pretty honest way of expressing it, isn't it? It's like he's saying, I believe, I do, here I am, Jesus, I believe. But then there is a little bit of unbelief lurking in there too. I could imagine Jesus taking it in another direction at that point and saying, unbelief? What's with this unbelief lingo? What? Do you believe or don't you? It's like you're sitting on the fence here. But Jesus doesn't say that. You know what Jesus does, right? Do you know? You probably know. At that point, he goes over and he casts the demon out of the boy. Jesus helps this despairing father and he restores the boy. Wonderful. Healing. Wholeness. Like I said, I see this as a story of power and authority. For sure, yes. But in light of that conversation between Jesus and the Father, I see this as a story of Jesus, his patience and his love, his grace, his tender kindness. I see those beautiful qualities of Jesus in this story too. I believe, Jesus. But is it possible, would you be willing to help me with my unbelief? And by his actions, we see that Jesus' answer to that question is, yes. Yes, I can. Jesus is good.